subsequent change in frames since. To align with Magic's 10th anniversary at Gen Con, R&D decided to unveil the designs that they had long been clamoring for and had begun to work on as early as Invasion 3 years prior. 8th edition was a core set, and thus had to obey the reprint policy that I spoke about before. As such, the border was white, but this was not what made this design decision noteworthy in the slightest. What players remember most is the first instance in which that Tolkien-esque feel from early Magic sets was replaced with a streamlined aesthetic that prioritized functionality over flavor. The cards across this set became much more cohesive as a whole, but in order to do so, the game's visual design had to sacrifice the tenets that made each color feel unique from one another. The first unifying element was the employment of three-dimensional boxes that surrounded the title and type lines, as well as the power and toughness indicators. If you look closely, these boxes have a slight shadow effect along the bottom line, as well as against the left crease. They also sport many more pin lines that surround these boxes, two of which have curves that allow for more space along the type line to make room for the expansion symbol and a break in uniformity around the power and toughness box. Secondly, the font was changed from Gaudy Medieval to Matrix Bold, which was heavier and much easier to read, yet lacked that bookish flavor. The font was also changed uniformly to black, except for the collector info on black cards themselves, which remained white. Now, perhaps the most off-putting update was the treatment of the text boxes. No longer would green cards be embossed with wooden panels, nor black cards with roughened parchment. In their places would be a mostly opaque, lightened background that was tinted to match the color of the card. The same was true for the title and type lines. The original textures, however, were still present and updated, even if they were far less pronounced. Green's text boxes sported a leafy texture to match their borders, and black cards still had that bubbly, swampy ooze surrounding them. The watery pattern on blue cards became more uniform and soft, while red's borders were instead rendered to appear more cracked and stressed. And yeah, white lost that lacy, doily look in place of a clean marble card frame. Lands received a uniform border too, one with a roughened, stony surface, and their pin lines aligned to the colors of mana they could produce. Artifacts received perhaps the greatest alteration. Their frame went from a dark brown to a cool, steely texture with metallic accents. In a vacuum, this design perfectly matched the flavor of Magic's version of Lost Relics that held ancient powers. However, this entire visual scheme was far too close in hue to the white cards, so much so that it was too difficult to differentiate the two while panning through a booster pack. To make matters worse, Mirrodin was the expansion to follow 8th edition, which was a world built entirely around artifacts. When 8th edition released, players lamented that these two frames were far too similar in appearance, but their complaints were solidified a couple of months later at the employee pre-release of Mirrodin. When Randy Buehler thumbed through his first booster pack of the artifact world, he realized that the lamenting player base was right. 2 sets later, in 5th Dawn, the border was significantly darkened, which tided the confusion. One major complaint still remained, however, which was the lack of colored mana symbols on activated and triggered abilities on artifacts across the block. Nurok's Stealth Suit, for example, wants blue mana, but this is not immediately clear upon first glance, which slowed down drafting and led to disappointment in gameplay. The greater takeaway from 8th edition, though, is twofold. The first is that Magic finally had a cohesive visual identity across all cards at the cost of individuality between them. That is to say, from a holistic viewpoint, 8th edition felt like one solid unit, and promised uniformity moving forward once the prior sets were phased out over the following years. The second takeaway was, of course, longtime veterans' initial reactions to the change in frames. Their complaints, like I said up top, would be echoed with every change in card frame moving forward. Quote-unquote, "This does not look like a Magic card." They were correct in the sense that the modern frame lacked that high fantasy flavor, but the functionality was greatly improved in its stead. Cards were legible. The focus shifted to make way for better gameplay, which meant that immersion would simply have to be found out.
What is up? What do you got going on tonight, my friend? How's it going in your world? How is it all? You know, I normally have something planned. something. Tonight it's just like I need to stream. It's telling me just gotta do it. My hair's at that awkward point. It gets to a certain length where it just doesn't want to behave, regardless. Oh my god. Huh? My bad. What do you mean you're bad? What'd you do? Oh, fuck me. I'm trying to, what the fuck is this shit? The fuck can't I hear anything? Great, once again my computer is being an ass. It might just be a YouTube thing. I've noticed that
this is one of the worst things ever happened to me outside of losing my eyesight.
It's a journey that started 4 years ago at Denver's Greyhound bus station.
Explain what happened before you were arrested, before you were wearing handcuffs.
A journey that included time in jail, accusations of excessive force, a jury verdict, and hundreds of hours in legal fees.
Okay, so when the officer asked you to leave, did you strike him with your cane?
No, I never struck anyone with my cane. That's a lie.
This security camera video shows what happened.
They both grabbed me. It felt like they were trying to throw me down on my face.
In the minutes before police put 77-year-old Philip White in handcuffs.
I crashed into something. I was really bleeding, okay? So, and it really stunned me.
The altercation left White bloodied and bruised. The city eventually dropped all criminal charges, and White responded with this civil lawsuit.
When I originally sued them, it was not to get any money.
White says he filed the lawsuit to send a message to Denver police. The jury sent that message, a verdict that included $100,000 in compensatory damages and another $300,000 in punitive damages, plus all legal fees. Would you have taken $100,000?
I'm sure I would have, yes.
And that's really the focus of our investigation. This court document, uncovered by Denver 7 Investigates, shows White's attorneys offered to settle for $140,000. The city countered with a $55,000 offer. And you heard White say he would have accepted $100,000. So the two sides were essentially $45,000 from a pretrial settlement.
We tried over and over to settle this case with the city of Denver before it went to trial.
Attorneys Mari Newman and Daryl Kilmer represent Philip White. Should the city attorney have been able to foresee this kind of verdict?
I think this verdict was not surprising at all.
Denver City Attorney Scott Martinez elected to roll the taxpayers' legal dice, and the math raises questions about decision-making by the city's top attorney.
The taxpayers should be outraged at how the city attorney is guiding this case.
Instead of coming up with another $45,000 to settle, Martinez elected to try and convince a jury that the use of force by Denver police against a 77-year-old blind man was justified. Denver taxpayers may now have to pay $1 million.
That's ridiculous.
Hard questions should be asked of the city attorney's office.
Tony Kovaleski from Denver 7, here to see City Attorney Mr. Martinez. Denver 7 Investigates made multiple requests to speak with City Attorney Scott Martinez. Do you expect the city?
This is a story that has two sides and a lot of different angles. You're about to hear it all. It involves a man with a checkered driving record, a government agency that broke down, and a big question: should taxpayers be liable for this man's injuries? It was June 19th, 2009, one of those days with on and off rain that leaves the pavement kind of slick. A day when most drivers back off the gas pedal a bit. But Nick Otter isn't like most drivers. At 28, he'd racked up 9 infractions on his driving record, including careless driving, running a stop sign, and 2 citations for speeding. Otter was about to have his 5th accident in 4 years, and this one would be a doozy. As he rounded this sharp curve on Sandy Creek Road in Frenchtown Township, Otter slammed into the back of a fire truck. The bright yellow rig was stopped with emergency lights flashing, attending to another accident. A police dash cam was rolling and caught part of it on tape. Watch this part of your screen. You'll see Otter's pickup truck round the corner and disappear from the frame. Then you'll hear the impact and see his pickup slide back into frame.
437 just had another crash. Guy ran into the back of a fire truck.
This sheriff's deputy and 2 other witnesses put the blame squarely on Nick Otter.
Let's get some shit going.
It's just for example. That's what the Latin is, just ad bellum, and then just in bellows how it's conducted. But I mean, yeah. So America wouldn't, if the Taliban or Al Qaeda or other groups, had show their desire to cease hostilities and all the rest of it, America would be happy with that, right? But they're not. They're a consistent threat. Mm-hmm.
Do you believe everyone is created equal?
No.
Like, are you talking about like on some sort of ontological level, like this?
Is all human life
conception?
equally valued?
Yeah, I believe in some sort of egalitarian conception of ethics, but I don't believe in this sort of Lockean tabula rasa as like a defining metaphysic of man, right? I don't think that we are all equal, right? I think evolutionary
all
bias
credit equal until you.
How can we not be equal? Like,
I want to hear what Patriot Act has to say. He's been.
Hold on.
Are you as smart as Einstein?
I think a better argument is, are there murderers? And if so, then I think that we could do something different to a murderer than we do to a normal.
But they do both. They do, again, humanitarian.
Are you as smart as Einstein or as sadomasochistic as Hitler? Probably not, right? Probably not for either of those. So, do you think we're all equal?
Just to bring it back, right? So, the reason why America, it's not because, they committed atrocities against us, we'll keep going at it with them. It's the fact that these groups are still a persistent threat. So it's not in history, right? It's a constant thing.
Yeah,
Look,
that's
I
don't like war as the next guy, like nobody wants to have war. It's not, nobody likes it, okay? But
people
still,
like it, yeah. People do like it though.
Okay,
a lot of people like it.
Us in general, okay? None of us here can agree that we want war,
For sure.
So, with that, still, if somebody, of course, I'm gonna give this as an example. It is history, but Adolf Hitler, with everything that was going on, there had to be war because there was no appeasement. So, for example purposes, if you look back at that, you can see where war would be necessary.
But I mean, Hitler
how about
did
this?
the
How about
exact same thing that America has done.
This is about
exploiting poor people and something like they needed.
They have. How they're exploiting poor people.
If this is about the,
wait,
the
who said
Taliban.
that? Who said that? Who said that? Who said we don't exploit poor people?
Man.
How do you think you're rich? Or not you, but how do you think people are rich? I don't know if you're rich.
I'm fairly well off, but I mean,
my dialectical materialism.
Alright guys, it was nice talking to you, but I gotta go for the night. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, bye.
And check the link. I tagged you in.
The dude who asked, "How do you think you're rich?" Are you a Marxist by chance?
What?
Are you a
I don't
Marxist?
define myself.
Alright, if this is about
What is
going
going on, my
with the
dog?
Taliban,
This is cancer.
Is that what
but
the
I'm
overarching
interested.
discussion was?
No. The overarching discussion is about war at all.
No, I mean, it was about Afghanistan and Iraq, but then we narrowed it down to.
You bet your sweet ass. Sometimes you gotta fight one, bro.
Yeah. I mean, again, they do humanitarian work at the same time, and it's often shown to be more successful than kinetic operations, right? For example, SERP in Afghanistan, which is used by local commanders to bring up the population. It was quite effective. But, yeah, I mean, they're culturally aware, they're trained for it. They're aware of the superstitions locally in the region of Afghanistan, and they help them out, but still fight the Taliban. I don't see that there's an ethical quandary here with it.
Well,
I'm sorry. I just wanted to. I think I might have missed something you just said there. You said you served in Afghanistan.
No, me.
Yeah, like I said, I thought I heard you say that.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I don't know how I can debate when, like, if you don't think everyone is created equal, then.
Look, I could say, okay, I'll say this. I do think it, but actions lead to different stances of people, right? So, okay, we're all created equal, cool. But if
that's just true.
If America
it doesn't matter,
is the victim state, hold on. If I said
no,
everyone's
but explain
equal,
for me
America,
then. None of you have explained to me how we are not created equal.
Well, hold on. Okay, I could see it. Okay, well, hold on. Let's take a fucking argument. Okay, we're all equal. But America was still the victim on 9/11. Therefore, it has ethical and legal justifications to get involved in Afghanistan.
All right, hold on real quick. Let's take a step back.
To America being the victim. I want to hear that. Hold on. Let's hear his objection.
Wait, what? What did you say?
When he said America was the victim, you said, "Oh my God." I want to know why.
To that?
Why I do that is because you keep referring, like, you keep you're justifying today's actions for things that happened in the past.
Because
the
they're a
past
persistent
doesn't matter.
threat.
Oh wait,
No, they're not a fucking threat. How long has it been?
Hold on, guys.
Show me reasons.
So they are so victim state 9/11, right? You didn't really argue against that. But these groups didn't just stop the moment 9/11 happened, right? Otherwise, I could concede your point, right? They attacked 9/11, they just banned cease hostilities, all the rest of it. Cool fucking beans, right? But the fact is, they do remain a consistent threat. That they're still attacking US forces both in the region and abroad.
An Ariana Grande concert.
They affiliate with other groups, like ISIS, for example, that also conducts operations in America. They are a persistent threat. Now, we could break it down another way.
Okay, so
as
tell me,
Hayden,
how many Americans are dying by?
We'll break it down another way, right? Briefly.
Okay.
As Michael V. Hayden, former NSA and CIA director, fantastic fan, read his books, visualize it in a speech. On the y-axis, we've got the
but
intensity.
You still haven't.
Hold on. We've got the intensity of the threat, and then on the x-axis, we've got the time scale. So your more immediate, low-intensity threats are your terrorist attacks and so forth, but they could have outliers in those, like a nuclear attack, a dirty bomb, or something like that, or not like another scale. But then draw it further out to 10, 15, 20 plus years out, and you got the threats that are like China, Russia, Iran, those ones, right? And the intensity of those conflicts and in seriousness is, of course, more severe, so it goes up. Think of it like that. So more persistent, more constant threats like this from terrorism that could have outlying severe attacks, mostly low in severance, are more immediate. So they are a persistent threat.
What? That doesn't explain on any level how everyone is not created equal. Akito says before, he's not gonna go and fucking out anyone.
It's like you weren't listening to anything. He's literally operating on your axiom that everybody is equal, right? He wasn't arguing that point.
Yeah, they're all equal. But the moment that those things start to change, is the moment you start to become a belligerent. Yeah, sorry. It was a Sherlock cough. Anyway, they start to participate in hostilities, right? That's when the value is the same. A human life is a human life, but their status changes in, do you have justification to engage them with lethal force? The value is still the same, but now you have justification to use force against them. Civilian, no. combatant, yes, right. So I'm using your presupposition here, which I don't hold true. I think all humans are equal.
Yeah, we're not created equal, dude. That's just ridiculous.
It's really immaterial to the argument, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that there's no. We need to have some kind of baseline for when we say everyone's created equal. What exactly do we mean
It doesn't matter.
by that?
It
does matter.
How does it matter?
States the case.
Yeah, how does it matter?
It will be the value worth of a potato, right? We all, our life, all of us, equal, etc., to that of a potato. Cool. There we go. That's our definition. Cool. Doesn't fucking matter.
If you have
to use force against the Taliban and such.
Yeah, if you have two populations, each with 1 million equal people, and one of them blows up a tower in the other one, it's justification for war. They're equal, but it's still justification for war.
I'm so completely lost on this. Okay, so where was I? Lamb sauce locator. All right, so check this out, bro. Let me bring your question to the forefront. I've been thinking about this. Is there any way the U.S. could have used a more civilized method to force Japan into an unconditional surrender? Okay. All right. Let's attempt to unpack this one. Is there a more civilized method? Oh, first off, well. See, when you do this whole what if scenario, technically, yeah, you can say, oh yeah, there was all sorts of things that could have been done. We could have done this, we could have done that, we could have been all over the fucking place. Yeah, there's all sorts of different things that we could have done, but you gotta remember what's the cost. So, American lives were being lost. Alright, Pearl Harbor was a thing that fucking happened. American lives were lost. Now, this whole more civilized method, what do you mean like a more civilized method? Let's sit down and talk, right? So, wait, sitting down and talking wasn't really doing anything. Sitting down and having a conversation at that point in time in history wasn't getting shit fucking done. If we would have sat down and talked with Germany, would they have stopped doing what they were doing? Would Hitler have been like, oh yeah, you're right, I should stop fucking guessing the Jews and shit, I should do whatever the fuck. Like maybe more of a show of power instead. What a bigger show of power than the nukes? What was a bigger show of power than that? That was a show of power. That is exactly what we did. It wasn't just a display. It wasn't just a spectacle. This was a full frontal demonstration of America's might as a superpower. That's exactly what we did. We showcased our strength and demonstrate we're not fucking around. So, like, give me an example. Like, I kind of want to see what's going on in your brain, Naga. To you, what is a more civilized way? Your eyes are still terrifying. Changed my mind. Well, you know, everyone always tells me my eyes are gorgeous, so you're probably, I don't know. Make my day, Jew. Maybe nuke somewhere random other than 2 cities. Like what? Like where? Like, that's the thing that gets me. Like, what are you trying to say? Like, so on the island of Japan, instead of nuking 2 cities, we would have nuked somewhere else. Do you understand how nukes work? Okay, because when those nukes landed, the blast radius, that's not all that was affected. Okay, we have radioactive fallout that had effects far away from the actual blast zone. So no matter where we would have struck on that island, those bombs would have affected people somewhere. Okay, that's just by the nature of how those bombs are designed. Not an intentional thing. It's not like, let's make a bomb that has fallout. No, that's just a science thing. When you detonate a nuke like that, the radioactive fallout particles get up into the atmosphere and then drift off to wherever they do. That's nice talking about fake nukes. Oh, Christ. Okay. Yes, fake nukes. Yeah, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Those things never fucking happened, apparently. No, but... Alright, Thamor, how about this, dude? How about you just enter the realm of make-believe, let's say that it did work out. This person asked the question, I've been thinking about, is there any way the U.S. could have used a more civilized method to force Japan into an unconditional surrender? So that's the thing, though. Within your question, not with nukes, in your question itself, remember, language is a very interesting thing. Is there a more civilized method that we could have used, right? To kind of like quell the conflict. But in your question, you use the word force, kind of giving them no option. Force Japan into an unconditional surrender. Literally forcing them to have no other option than to surrender. That's exactly what we did. So you might want to have to change your question, because from first glance, your question says, like, couldn't we have like done something less harmful? Could we have done something that had fewer collateral damage? Like your question is formulated in such a way to minimize what damage was actually done, right? But in the same question, you use force into an unconditional surrender. That's the crux of language. Your question itself is literally advocating for the nukes to happen. So yeah, it's that's what I'm saying. Language, man, language. Coercion is violence, and violence is not civil. Here's the thing, this is war. I was back in the politics stream. Actually, I'm going to close out of that, because I jumped in at a point where I have no idea what the hell's going on. I don't even know what they're talking about. What's up, dog? Yes, less harmful. I probably shouldn't have reworded that. Go ahead, reword your question, reread it, make sure you got all the ins and outs of it, and then hit me back with it, and we'll carry on that conversation. But back when I was listening to the politics guys, hanging out in politics, dude, I'm telling you, it's so fucking all over the place. It really, truly is. It's enjoyable, don't get me wrong. I do like to go in there, and sometimes you get a gem of a conversation. Most of the time, not so much. I don't understand rich people, man. I never will. You know, when it comes to work, I've noticed that of the people I work with, the clients that I work with, the ones that are more well off typically do not pay their invoices. So in the past, I mean, I eventually get paid out anyway through TaskRabbit, which is why I like working with TaskRabbit, because I get paid. Have you ever seen a nuclear detonation? I can neither confirm nor deny the answer to that question. So, yeah. Yes, unfortunately, I cannot confirm nor deny that question. Never mind. Thinking about nukes were basically inevitable. Yes, true. At that point in time, they were. Where else are we? Yeah, so I've noticed that would work. I should probably preface this. The more well-off a client seems to be, typically those are the ones that do not pay their invoices and whatever. I've noticed in the last like 2 weeks, because you go out in Vegas, man, there's some crazy gated communities where the houses are so massive where you literally walk in and it's like, oh wow, this is kind of cool. You know, it's big, it's open, it's all this stuff. But then you take a moment to actually be in this space and you're like, this is like quite literally overkill. Don't get me wrong, having a big house, I mean, I think that's a great thing. I grew up in a pretty big home, but the home was filled, you know what I'm saying? We did a lot of construction on it over time, and we ended up, by the time, last I checked, after all the added on rooms and all this stuff and all like the little things that we did, we added on an additional, 800 square feet? No, we added on an additional 1,200 square feet to the home already. I had a total of 7 bedrooms, 4.5 baths. It was huge. It was a track home. nonetheless, on a quarter of an acre. No, wait, probably like a fifth. It wasn't a crazy amount of land, but it was the biggest plot of land in our neighborhood when we bought the track home growing up. Hey, Thomas, what's up, my man? Just worded my question like a complete idiot. No, don't be so hard on yourself. But the home was filled up. Every room was functional. It wasn't like... That's the thing. I do a lot of these jobs, and I go into a lot of these homes, and it's really cool. You get to see like people's tastes and like what they do aesthetically. I think it's cool. Ben or Milo? Milo all the way, my dog. Ben Shapiro's cool, don't get me wrong, but Milo is far more charismatic. I would say that, well, from an entertainment, I get more entertainment value from Milo than I do from Ben. Ben does say a lot of really good shit. The dude's fucking got a lot of brain knowledge. But if I had to sit down and listen to someone talk for 2-3 hours, I would have much more fun listening to Milo than I would with Ben. It's just from pure entertainment value. I think as far as substance is concerned, research, data, all that stuff that's kind of backed up like that, I would kind of think that they're somewhat equal. I would probably give the nod more so to Ben. Someone that's actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ben Shapiro's actually practiced or probably more experience in that avenue, whereas Milo's more journalistic and stuff. Do you like Alex Jones? It's a yes and no. If Alex Jones is serious, like hardcore serious, and all that shit that he talks about and believes, I think he's batshit fucking crazy and want nothing to do with him. However, if the whole thing is just this giant stage, if Alex Jones is literally portraying nothing more than a character, then I think it's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my fucking life. So, whatever the truth is, my answer kind of sides with that. Yeah, so I go into these homes, I see all this crazy shit, and it's cool, blah, 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 blah. But I see a lot of needless bullshit, okay? You get these giant fucking homes that are empty. Like literally fucking empty. And I'm not saying that a house has to be filled with clutter and shit, by no means. But it's like, when you have things in your life that you're spending time and money with, what are you filling that up with? And I'm not saying materialistic goods and stuff. He's into ladyboys, apparently. Who's into ladyboys, apparently? Alex Jones? Or are we talking about Marco Rubio? Because I've seen that debacle lately. That the funniest takeaway from that is when Marco Rubio's like, I'm sorry, I don't even know you. He's like, I'm Alex Jones, InfoWars, you know who I am. Like, I'm telling you, people with any level of fame get really fucking upset if someone else does not know who they are. They get super fucking butthurt. It's like, wait, you don't know me? You don't know who I am? That's bullshit. Everyone knows me. I'm the greatest. I'm God's gift to humanity. I'm the greatest thing since sliced fucking bread. What are some possible ways we can end this ISIS threat? I would love to say nukes. However, they're kind of spread up all over the fuck. It's kind of like this whole Hydra thing. Milo, you get more of a show, but Ben is more of a politician. Yes. Couldn't have said it better myself. I'm Tom, by the way. From YouTube. So, back to finishing up my thing. Anyway, so that's a weird argument I can kind of get all into. To each their own. If you want to have a big-ass house and not have a lot of shit in it, not have pictures of family, friends, or whatever, and you just have a big-ass house because you have the money to be able to have a big-ass house, then by all means, fucking enjoy. To each their motherfucking own, I say. But it's just something that I've noticed. But the people that, a lot of these people that I go into these gated communities, where you go to a guard gate, you go in and you fucking have to press a fucking, you go into another secure gate, press the passcode, and then another one on top of that. Sub-communities within sub-communities of a gated community. Inception level shit, and you press another and go in. Massive homes, and it's like, wow, this is really cool. It's kind of tucked off in the nowhere, nice and secure, peace of mind, all that good shit. But then you break it down, you go there, you do the work for these people, and then you leave. What happens when you leave? Every fucking time, like literally, what is it? I think it's called the Ridges. Every job that I've ever done at the Ridges, the clients don't pay. I eventually get paid because I bring it up with TaskRabbit, but it's usually delayed by 2 weeks. And I'm like, hey, I did this work. Here's my invoices. The client never paid. It's never been dispersed to me. Most of those places, well, yeah, which is true. Oh, another thing too, I can't stand about rich people. Now this is the thing. I'm not destitute. I'm not poor. I'm far past that point in my life. Right? There was a point in time where I was, not anymore. I still wouldn't consider myself middle class, but I am approaching middle class finally in my life for fucking once. But you start to notice, you just notice things in life, and I'm not huge on materialistic shit, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, I can understand the aesthetics of it. If I had money to go out and get all this shit, of course, like a lot of people like to have nice shit, right? Keyword there's nice. One of the things that I've noticed with people that have a lot of money to spend, they spend it very whimsically. I'm not saying that this is everybody, because I've noticed, hell, I've seen people that like would appear straight middle class, but these people are balling. These people like have crazy amounts of money. They have footholds financially in so many different sectors. But you go to work at their home, and you would never think that. They're not driving around all these crazy, flashy cars. They're not doing all this over-the-top stuff, you know? It's like these are clients that when I go and do work for them, if I'm melting hanging, like the floating shelves or stuff like that, these are the kind of people. Rich people do a lot for society. Break it down for me. Tell me about that. Like, these are people that, like, the stuff that they purchase for their home is of some standard of quality. For example, there's one at the Ridges. I had a client didn't pay. Basically, set up all the furniture for their nursery for their daughter. Half of the shit for this nursery, I had to go back and tell the lady, like, look, I'm sorry, I'm trying to put this together. I'm doing everything I can, but I couldn't, because the way that the furniture was like extremely cheap. Now, me being able to have access to a lot of the paperwork that comes with these products and whatnot, there was like this bookshelf that there's one of the things I was putting together for this nursery was this bookshelf. This was probably worse than IKEA quality. This was like Walmart, cheapest bookshelf at Walmart quality shit. But the retail of it was $896, something like that, you know, with tax and all that shit. These people paid $896 for a bookshelf that has poorer quality than the bullshit at Walmart. Alright? Fucking particle board bullshit, fucking like that lacquer coating or whatever the fuck, or that plastic chippy paint bullshit. Like, it was just really bad. You would think for that amount of money, for the size of that bookshelf, it would be solid wood, it would be sanded appropriately, it would have some nice some contours where the corners are and stuff. But no, this was like some mass-produced China bullshit, right? But because it was bought from not Wayfair exactly, but some site like Wayfair, it was bought from a site like that where they mark it up like, oh, this was $2,000, but if you buy it today, it's only $896, and so people just like think I'm saving $1,000. Fuck it, let's buy it. When in reality, you're losing because you're getting something that's not even worth the amount that you're paying for it. And there were so many times where I'm putting all this shit together for her, and I had to keep going like, hey, and I had to show her like, look, the way that this is designed, instead of having a flat plank of wood, they pre-drilled a hole. They took this little metal, whatever I don't know the terminology, but it's like a metal ring that they pound into the pilot hole, and that's where your threads are. So you're not screwing into the wood, you're screwing into this little metal ring. The problem is the metal ring does not stay in with the wood. So you can screw the screw into the metal ring, but there's no glue, there's no like little anchor latches or anything, and even if there were anchor latches, it's all particle board, it's not going to stick to anything anyway. So I'm breaking this down and I'm trying to let her know, and I'm like, you know, like, this, can I put this together for you? I can jerry rig it. I can get it together for you. It's not going to be safe at all. This thing will fall apart. Like, at the slightest breeze, the whole thing will collapse. So I just need to let you know. And there was like, I think it was like 3 different items of furniture that I had to do like that with her, where I kept having to bring her in. I'm like, I can do this, but it's extremely poor quality. It's extremely poor quality. Like, I had to make that distinction. I had to let her know this item that you purchased, unfortunately, is of so low quality that I have to come and let you know that it is literally a danger to have in a child's nursery, an infant's nursery, to have this furniture even be in here, because it will fall apart. It will fall apart. They often own businesses. You need people to work for your business, so they create jobs for million jobs. They also give more to charity and middle and lower class. Oh yeah, those are all really good points. Those are all excellent points, right? They often own businesses. People need to work for your business, so they create jobs for people who need jobs. Yes. No, don't get me. I'm not saying that rich people are bad. No, I think they're great. Yeah, I do agree with a lot of the points that you're saying. They also give more to charity than middle and lower class. Well, the real rationale for that, it's usually one of 2 reasons. Are we talking about rich culture? Not necessarily, no. All right, so I do a lot of jobs with TaskRabbit where I go into a lot of people's homes and I do handyman stuff for them. One of the big ones I do is furniture assembly, because no one really likes to fuck with furniture assembly. It doesn't matter what upper, lower, middle class, it doesn't matter what bracket you're in. A lot of people don't want to fuck with it, so they don't mind paying for someone to come assemble shit. But it's not so much culture. No. Because that's its like own thing. I'm basically talking about, kind of, it's like voyeurism, almost, where you're going into someone's home, and just like, how a picture says 1,000 words. Well, when you're physically in a space, to a certain extent, you can kind of interpret several things. For example, all right, so check this out. So there was this girl. Well, this guy hired me to help pack some boxes. So I get to this condo, and it was a girl's condo. She was moving the next day, and the movers were coming that afternoon to pick up all her boxes. She had not packed anything. She had put it off for like a month and a half. And so he came over to help her, but he's like, well, actually, I got to deal with work. What he does is he buys and sells businesses, but he focuses on like healthcare facilities, like senior citizen homes. So he'll buy a senior citizen home, sit on it for like a month or 2, and then sell it to some other investor or something like that. We talked a little about it. It was actually really interesting. But he was focusing on that. So I was packing up all this girl's stuff. I will say this real quick. That was one of the most annoying jobs I ever fucking had. Because I go in there and, look, I'll do whatever you want. Just give me some direction. You want me to pack boxes? I'll pack boxes. You want them packed a certain way? Tell me. I will do that. And this girl was like, she had no idea how she wanted shit done. So every time I would pack something, she would literally unpack it and take it all out. And that happened for a good like 15-20 minutes, and I was like, do you have a partner or people that go with you? No, why would I have a partner or people that go with me? I'm a handyman. I don't need... It depends on the job. Sometimes I'll tell the customer they're going to have to hire an additional pair of hands, but no, I don't have a partner or people that go with me. I'm a one-man show. Come on. So I'm telling her, like, yo, check this out. Look, would you rather me just stand here and have you tell me that goes in that box, that goes in that box? Because every time I put something in a box, you instantly move it into another one, And she's like, okay, yeah. So then 30 minutes goes by, and we don't even pack a single box. Like, she's so all over the place, and let's look through here, let's look through this. So the first hour that I'm in, hardly any work has gotten done. And, for me, I'm getting paid by the hour, so why am I bitching? But I have another job to get to on the other side of town, and I have to leave by 10:30. Now, when I get hired by a client, number fucking one, I do not want to waste their time, okay? Because my time is valuable, their time is valuable. If they're going to hire me to get a job done, to pack boxes, I'm going to pack as many fucking boxes as I can for the 3.5 hours that I can be there. I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that they can get taken care of. She's got movers coming at 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm going to make sure those movers are going to be ready. That when they get to that house, that those boxes are fucking ready, right? Because that's fair to the client and that's fair to me. Oh yeah, let me get up on that. Haven't even been paying attention. The more. What's going on, dog? Fuck, why is my sound not working? Oh, that's why. There we go, much better. How's it going, bro? Hello? Oh, you have got to be shitting me. Oh, wait. There we go. So to finish up, so I'm in this girl's place, and finally I'm like, look, this one room that I'm in right now, I can pack every single box in this room in 10 minutes. All you have to do is say, I want these items over here because they're not going in storage. Everything else, just try and keep like items together. And I knocked it out in like 10 minutes once I was able to do that. And where I said it's kind of like a voyeurism thing, I don't snoop, obviously. I'm not going to go through people's shit. However, when you're packing boxes, it's like an unintentional thing. You're literally moving items from one location in their drawers into a box. You're sorting things appropriately. So it's like an unintentional voyeurism. Does that make sense?
Sure, yeah. I was just going to think about, you being more aware because of your military experience, just knowing your environment, like details and things like that. You're more aware than most would be. Some people go into places like that with tunnel vision. They're not aware of their surroundings. Yeah, I mean, I've done moving jobs before, and it's like I perfectly understand. I perfectly respect privacy. But this particular job where I'm actually literally taking their belongings from wherever it is in the home and packing it away, you can't help but notice things. And this girl, holy shit, she had a lot of clothes. So she told me to go through and pack up all her clothes. So I'm packing up all of her clothes. Not a problem. And, when you're doing something of that nature, of course you're going to find some pretty off-the-wall shit. Let's just say that. I go into this home to help this girl and this guy that hired me to pack these boxes. And first impressions are a son of a bitch. You see a person, you talk with them, you get a kind of vibe, you see what kind of sense they're about. She's a little ditzy. You pack up her office. Oh, she's really creative. She's into graphic design, and you see all like all these Bibles and like all this Christian paraphernalia. Then you see all this cosplay stuff, and you're like, oh, she's got a lot of personality. She's really well rounded, but she's pretty big on her faith. That's cool too. So she's got a lot of layers. Then I go to her closet, and there's like some fucking crazy fucking dominatrix shit in there. Like, holy shit, my man, holy fuck. Like, you would like, there's this crazy thing.
Get some good ideas for you and Big Wife?
No. No. It just made me think the other day, like first impressions are a son of a bitch, because at the end of the day, first impressions don't really tell you anything about an individual. It's just your interpretation of what you think upon that first meeting. For years, it's like, I think I have a good sense of people, but it's like the more you kind of peel back certain layers, you start to understand, oh, I don't know shit.
Yeah, I was sort of the belief when I was younger that it takes about 2 years to get to know somebody, just the ins and outs, how they would make decisions, because they're still trying to figure out who they are, right? So understanding how they're actually growing is a big part of that too, because we all change. That's just part of life. We have different passions, different interests. We pursue different things throughout the course of our life. So yeah, but at the same time, I've sort of, as I've gotten older, went back on that, and I don't know if it necessarily takes that long to understand the nature. Like you're saying, you can make some pretty quick evaluations and understandings, like, oh, there's layers. This person is more than just surface level, or that kind of thing. But yeah, younger, I really believe it took a long time.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Now I just feel like if you've got that connection with somebody, you know, just, you know it.
Yeah, so I think it's been on my mind lately. The whole, because I don't want to sit and say rich people and all that jazz. I think it puts people into a box. Like, just because someone has a car that is better than mine, just because someone lives in a house where the bathroom is larger than my apartment kind of thing, I don't think that necessarily puts them in the category of being rich. Because I remember doing HVAC, there's a lot of people, I would go to a lot of homes where they were essentially house poor, where they had the nice car, they had the big ass house, but once you go in past that front door and you kind of peel those layers back, you can see like, oh, this big ass house, but he's got like plastic chairs at his dinner table, and then he's debating the price because, oh, that's way too much for a brand new unit. It's like, I don't even need a unit, just fix this one. It's like, we can't fix this unit. The unit's completely broke. Like, there's nothing we can do to fix it. The whole thing's like beyond, like, and this isn't us trying to do this as salesmen. This is like literally, you cannot save this unit. It's, you know, and then they argue on the price, and it's like, oh, it's way too much, and you can kind of see it's like, all right, so, and then you break it down. It's like, all right, well, where do you you start to learn things about, like, all right, well, where do you work? It's like, oh, I work about an hour and a half away, you know, like, you know, they live in Orange County for the Orange County lifestyle, but they don't really ever. This is something from a podcast I listen to, Choose FI, Financial Independence, and these are people that talk about, you know, you have all this stuff in your life, but you don't spend your life enjoying these things, because it's kind of like this culture that we've gotten into. It's like, you need the house, you need to fill the house with furniture, you need to have the car that can compete with your neighbor's car, you need to have all these different things that put financial burdens on you, but you spend the rest of your life working to pay those things off instead of enjoying them.
Yeah, I think, you know, everybody's situation is different. So, you know, what is rich, right? You know, that's the whole idea. You know, so, but yeah, you know, you can't. They're always continuing to pit us against each other. Rich versus poor. You know, skin color versus skin color. You know, gender versus gender versus gender versus gender. Us and them.
There's a character in Shelter, in my book, obviously, and I was writing the other day, and this character's name is Will, and part of his backstory as a character is that he went to medical school, right? He went to an Ivy League university, dropped out after the first year, and you know, the reason why that's important is because he has connections to the hospital that's on the north side of Chicago that they need access to and all this stuff. So he knows a little bit of the medical lingo to kind of get by and do this facade that, oh, I'm a doctor, even though he's not. But you learn about his character, and instead of pursuing to be a doctor to help people, the reason why he didn't want to be a doctor anymore is because there was far more money in selling pharmaceuticals than he could ever make as being a doctor. So he's like, fuck being a doctor. It might be nice, but that's long hours, that's stress, that's my entire life would be consumed by that, when I could have a much more fulfilling life, make far more money by selling pharmaceuticals. And that's the path that he went, and then he eventually became a lobbyist.
You know what I hear there?
What's
I
up?
hear he went from the drug pusher, you know, the guy that sells it on the corner, to the drug dealer.
Yeah. Yeah, so he that's part of his character. And when everything went tits up, what's known as the 0 day, when all currency lost its value and everything, he was in Chicago because as a lobbyist and all this stuff, he was visiting the hospital. They gave him a badge, and when everything went fucking crazy and everything, he held on to that badge. So every time he needs to go to the hospital to like raid supplies or anything, because it's under heavy security on the north side of Chicago, he has no fucking problem getting in, because they think, oh, he's a doctor, he works here, even though he fucking doesn't. There's no sense of communication or anything like that anymore. Convinced me
thinking about
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just really enjoy your book, and I know you're passionate about it, and you put a lot into it, and it gets me thinking about just medical conspiracies in general. You know, the things we hear that are sort of fantastical. You know, like weapons of mass destruction, bio warfare kind of things. Like, what does the CDC house? And do they release this stuff onto the people? And then stuff even more obvious, like MK Ultra was declassified. It's on the CIA website. You just have to search for it, and in that they clearly tell you that basically they gave people syphilis. They gave people LSD just to see what would happen, man. I mean, fucking incredible stories of giving children fucking shit. Just no boundaries when it comes to the medical field in general. And then there's the history of the medical field and it being one of those things that what's his name, Rockefeller, basically established all your medical hospitals and colleges. And his father was a snake oil salesman. I mean, literal snake oil salesman. He went on the road with his traveling case as a doctor and sold fucking snake oil, So the history of our medical profession and all the different things that, sort of entail the conspiracy aspects, the pharmaceutical industry, everybody knows, they're selling shit that can kill you for something that, is simple.
Well, it's a fucking joke. It truly is. The whole thing, it's one of the biggest industries in the world.
It's fascinating if you look into it. It's just amazing. It's a juggernaut.
I've always had an issue because I'm not really into a lot of the fucking like holistic shit, right? I like to have some sort of rigorous testing and approval. I don't think the FDA is probably the best source in the world, but to a certain extent, when I see that something is FDA approved, it gives a sense of comfort and clarity that item is to some extent does what it claims it's supposed to do. So Gwyneth Paltrow, right?
Yeah.
So recently in the news, her company Goop got fined. I think it was by Santa Clarita, or it was whatever, the county that her company resides in, fined her for misleading advertising. And the problem that came up is she, in her advertising, she had these, it's like a polished quartz egg. It's like a stone that's just like the shape of an egg, and it's like polished. And you're supposed to take this egg, you stick it up your vag, and the advertising on it was, I believe it's like it cures cancer or some shit like that. And what it's fucking sickening, because Alex Jones does this like very similar shit, where like the snake oil stuff, where they push this stuff and they put crazy outlandish claims that this here water doesn't have any chemicals in it, so you won't turn gay. It's the only chemical free, pure ionized by the sounds and vibrations of the universe for you, bottled $70 right now. Buy it from the website link down below. Like, they all do that. Like, there's so many places that do that shit, and there's a huge section of Americans, of people in general, that they hear these claims, and these claims are attached to people, right? So you have Alex Jones has a huge section of his huge following, a huge fan base, and there's a fan base that find him entertaining, and then there's a fan base that find him as a source of news. Like, they trust this individual, and so when he sells something, he puts his own stamp on top of it. Fuck the FDA, right? The same with Gwyneth Paltrow. Fuck the FDA, and fuck whatever some sort of government entity is going to tell you. Fuck what the scientists actually practicing and trying to figure out, and hey, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? Fuck all those guys. I, Gwyneth Paltrow, am telling you that this is going to work, so go ahead and buy it. And people will fucking do it. They'll eat it up all fucking day long because it's a face, it's an individual that they trust.
Well, and that goes all the way to the top. We're told that these things work for us, but do they really? I mean, they're switching what works for you all the time. Like, no, that doesn't work, try this. No, that doesn't work, try this. And the average American is that's an adult is on like 6.5 prescription medications a day. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I caught on to this bullshit when I was a kid. So growing up, I had a lot of behavioral issues, A lot of it was stemmed to like chemical imbalances because, you know, I don't think that it's. I don't think that
we're all fucking wired different, and some people just can't handle it. You know,
Right,
it's like
so-
it's like a troll coming in here. Some people just fucking lose their shit, and other people are whatever. You know, he's a fucking idiot. What's the big deal? Oh, you haven't seen an idiot before?
Right. So with me growing up, I had a lot of behavioral issues. Went to therapy. Had a therapist I talked to and all that stuff. It helped, and my mom and dad did everything that they could for me. But you know, being full time, you know, they're being parents as well as my mom owned her own company. My dad worked. He was a union guy, paving roads. So they had a lot on their fucking plate. So they tried anything and everything. And so for years, I was on a crazy cocktail of medications ever since I was like 6 years old. Everything except for Ritalin. They never gave me Ritalin. But they gave me, all, like, I was on all sorts of fucking shit. Antidepressants, fucking mood stabilizers, all just the whole gambit of stuff. And they would put me on different things. Excuse me. Especially with antidepressants, it has to accumulate in your body for a certain amount of time. So it's not like you take one and you're good to go. You have it's over the course of or of months. So, you know, 6 months later, like, okay, that's not working that well for you. We're gonna up the dosage and we're gonna add this in there as well, because with a higher dosage, you're more susceptible to certain fucking side effects. One of the major side effects of antidepressants is suicidal tendencies. Now that just fucking blows my mind. It wasn't until I was like in 6th grade. When I was in 6th grade, I started actually paying attention. I want to read what these side effects are because they got me on all this stuff and I don't feel any different. I feel zombified sometimes. Like I feel like I'm not myself because whenever I'm on these medicines. What is this really doing to me? So I looked at all these different side effects, and my mom didn't want to show me the side effects because my mom thought that if I saw what the side effects are, like this, just the knowledge of what they could be, I would like inflate it in my head, and then those things would start to apply to me, which made sense. But me, I kind of needed to know. So I went into it and I looked at it, and I'm like, I'm feeling this way about these things, and it does make sense because at the dosages that I'm taking some of these things, with the concoction, like I'm on 3 different medications just for antidepressants, right? Let alone the mood stabilizers. And
this is like you figuring out that Santa Claus wasn't real. You know, just like,
yeah,
holy shit, what is going in me? And maybe this explains some of the thoughts I'm having and some of the things I'm feeling and why I feel disassociated.
And I ended up telling my mom, like, look, I know you guys are trying to help, and I know that I have a lot of issues. Let's get off of all this stuff. I don't want to be on any more of it. And let's just see what happens. Let's give it like a 6-month trial, right? 3 months to kind of clear my body from it, and then 3 months of just, hey, how is he doing? And we did that. And I'm not saying I was perfect. I still had issues, but I had far less issues than I did with being on the medications. So
yeah, what kid doesn't have issues, right?
Oh yeah, of course. So, and that's something that I noticed. And I'm not saying that to say, hey, don't go out and fucking take medicines for this, that, and the other. There's a certain level where it becomes. Oh well, yeah. Like there was a time in my life. There was one medicine that I actually really liked. That it did help me for a period in my life. It was called gabapentin. It's a mood stabilizer. It did have one crazy side effect. I would get random boners throughout the day.
No wonder you liked it.
Yeah, it was just fucking weird.
They were giving you ED medication, testosterone.
Yeah, it was so bizarre, but aside from that fact, it did help me kind of keep my shit together. That was while I was deployed, and I found out that my wife at the time was a fucking cheating whore. It just helped me keep my shit together. But you know, aside from all that, blah blah blah. I do think that I don't deny the fact that mental illness
estrogen.
I don't deny that mental illness is a thing, but I would say that there are far better ways of dealing with, like depression, for example. I mean, there are certain mental illnesses that people have that are kind of beyond just figuring it out on your own. Some people are too far gone just from their chemical makeup, but for the most part, when it comes to depression, I'll say that, hey, it's not like this make-believe thing in your head. It's a real fucking thing as someone like me. But the number one way that I found of dealing with it is finding something. You know, like for me, I keep myself busy. I'm always trying to work on one project or another. I need to be working on something. You know, what's the saying? Idle hands are the devil's work, or whatever. You know, it's like by not keeping yourself proactive in one aspect of your life or another, you sit in your own head, and you can become your own worst enemy really quickly.
Without a doubt. Yeah, I was just thinking about how teachers are recommending kids for these ADD medications nowadays.
Fuck those idiots! Those oh my god!
Well,
continue, please.
Hold a lot of weight. They hold a lot of weight because you're trusting your kid with these people for 5-6 hours a day, and they're with them more than you are in some cases. They don't know how they interact with the other kids, or this person would be in a position to spot that your kid is different than the other ones, and so you hold weight, that these teachers are now basically doctors saying, oh, your kid's a little different, I'm having issues with him. You might want to get him to a therapist, you might want to get him to a doctor. There might be something wrong here. And that's how this ball gets rolling. It's almost as if they're poaching teachers now to push this. And it's obvious. I mean, I don't know if you know people with kids, but from the vaccine pushing, I mean, to say that you have to give your kid a shot for anything in order to attend the school, that's just absurd. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Your child is just perfect the way they are. There's no need for that kind of stuff. But yeah, it is sort of amazing how these things get pushed on people.
That's the thing, though. So you already know my standpoint when it comes to vaccinations. This is the weird thing when it comes to a lot of things about me. I am still a firm believer that vaccinations are the way to go. We've had this conversation a million times. However, as a parent, I don't think that you should be required to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you as a parent have certain rights, and I don't think that society or the government, for that part, should really force certain things on you. I guess... Oh, go ahead.
Well, vaccines, it's pretty simple to me. Is what's in the needle a poison, harmful to you, and does it have the potential to kill you? Regardless of how your body responds to it and what that deal is, that's what it boils down to. Is that you're saying I got to put poison in my body, and I disagree with that fundamentally to the core.
Oh, of course. Yeah, like I said, we've had this conversation a million times, but the one thing I will definitely agree with you is, like, being a parent and, having that decision of what, your kids are going to be doing. I think that's kind of where it should lie. You shouldn't have the government telling you how to be a parent. I've always thought that that's fucking inane as hell. Like, there are certain places the government shouldn't be allowed to stand.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how involved with our children they are. Right out of the gate when your baby's born, you're injected with all kinds of shit.
Speaking of which, so you've heard about Alex Jones in the news lately with the whole Marco Rubio bullshit, right?
No, I don't actually watch TV or the news.
Oh, that's all good. That shit I thought was pretty funny. There was two takeaways. One of it was that he was kind of heckling Marco Rubio because he was talking to another reporter. So fucking Jones was on the sideline, like, doing his little quips here and there while he's trying to speak with this other reporter. And then finally Marco Rubio's like, look, I'm sorry, I don't even know you. And then he's like, you don't know me, I'm Alex Jones, InfoWars, you know exactly who I am. And, like, he got all butthurt about it. And then fucking, it was one of those, like, endearing things. It wasn't like intentionally like harmful or mean or anything. Alex Jones just put his hand on his shoulder, like basically saying like, "Yo, chill," like kind of like a chill out kind of thing, or like it's no big deal, like an endearing hand on the shoulder. And then Marco Rubio, like the whole like "get off of me" thing, "don't touch me," or I won't even call security, I'll take care of you myself. And Alex Jones like, "Whoa, you're gonna hit me." And then he started saying shit about like, "Oh, you're a closet homo" and shit. Like the whole thing just turned into such a giant fucking shitstorm, man.
Wow. I wonder if this is like related to the Pizzagate thing in general. The QAnon is like a phenomena that's, I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's going off.
What's that?
Oh, it's just, yeah, don't even bother. It's not worth your time. It's just sort of like WikiLeaks. There's different levels of things that are released, and then there's like an underground movement of people that don't trust their government that, gather on the internet, basically. Not everybody's buying into this bullshit, I guess is the idea. And there's a lot of different fronts, and the fronts is politicians, and I look at something like that as clearly staged, but others might hold it in a different light.
So we have this person in the chat that asked the question, well, not so much a question, but they want me to convince them that humans are good and not just a virus destroying the earth. I would argue that by definition, human beings are a virus.
We are creators, part of the creation. Create. So no, I wouldn't say we're viruses at all.
Okay.
Look at it like a colony of ants, right? I mean, human beings, there's clearly a hive mind, one that we all sort of agree on the same principles of a way of life and work together to accomplish things. Most days, I live in a very populated area, San Diego, LA. I travel between the two, so reported 8 to 12 million people in this area. And guess what? For the most part, there isn't just a bunch of chaos and crimes that are happening everywhere. For the most part, everybody's going where they need to go to do what they need to do to take care of their families, and they're celebrating life with sports and activities and all kinds of things that make them and their families feel a part of this place and the community and that kind of thing. So I think that we do a great job working together more than anything else. I think the image that we just sort of rape and pillage the earth and global warming and trash and blah 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 blah, we're just a evil thing is ridiculous. Somehow they managed to put something like 30% of the people in jail in the United States, which is like far more than any other nation in the world by far.
Our incarceration rate is fucking ridiculous.
So the reality is most of those people didn't even hurt anybody else in any way whatsoever. And it's just one of those things that society, how we look at ourselves is, are you a virus or are you a positive thing? I think you have a choice. You can be negative and mean and draw that energy from people and suck it out of people, or you can give it, right? You have that choice to do that. You can be mean to somebody or you can be nice to somebody. That's a choice you make.
Fuck, man. Ugh. All right, give me 1 second. I gotta do something. Ugh.
Yeah, I was thinking more about that health stuff and all the illusions too. The things that we're like afraid of, like AIDS. I don't think AIDS is real, like at all. The more I look into it, the more it just seems like propaganda. Like this was something that was never real to begin with. I'm not saying that there isn't like autoimmune deficiencies in people and shit like that, but yeah, I think it was totally fabricated. Things like calories. I don't know if we've ever talked about calories. That's an interesting one too.
Oh wait, have we? Probably not. Let's talk about food.
Sure. Yeah. Everybody thinks that calories identify some sort of nutritional value, right? That's what we associate calories with. But there is no science behind that whatsoever. There is no so-called calorie or any way to measure how much energy any particular food is going to give you. For instance, an Oreo. How much nutritional value do you think an Oreo has?
Not much.
Right. They didn't put a fat guy on a treadmill and feed him Oreos to see how much energy he had compared to, eating fucking Taco Bell, There is no way to measure this stuff. It's a completely fabricated number. A calorie is just a unit of measure when you burn something, right? Like it's the temperature at which something combusts.
It's like a lower tiered measurement for like BTUs almost.
Exactly. You fire up the Bunsen burner, at this temperature, this catches fire. That's basically what, and that's recorded in a calorie. And you're trying to tell me that we have like a fucking fire in our bellies? Like, how does that equate to anything nutritional at all? It's just a concept, It's a way to fucking label something you buy in a box to say that it has nutritional value. It says, these fucking Captain Crunch here are going to give you fucking this much energy, right?
When it comes to food, one of the biggest things, and it's hard for me, cutting out fast food, pretty easy. That definitely helps a ton when it comes to weight management and all that jazz. But I think the biggest thing, there have been times in my life where I've been without like soda, right? So not having that like the liquid sugar, where it's very easy to get into your bloodstream, very easy to attach to your fatty cells and whatnot. Cutting out that has always been difficult. Like my go-to exchange has always been like tea. I've always felt like because I enjoy the taste of tea without the whole sugar aspect of it. So fuck, man. When I was in Korea, man, I really let myself go. I just fucking ate junk food like all the time.
You didn't like the Korean cuisine?
Well, I did eat a lot of Korean barbecue, but when I was living
delicious, man.
When I was living on post, I had a lot of there was a lot of fast food places. Like there was a bowling alley I would order pizza from, and so I'd order pizza and it'd get to the room, and it would have I would make sure it had double meat, double cheese. Like I would just stack that bad boy up, and I knew it wasn't healthy for me, but I did it anyway because it tasted good. And I gained so much weight. Like when I went to Korea, I was in the best shape of my life. Coming from Fort Drum, where I was constantly working out, I had the same workout regimen that the infantry guys did because that's the unit I was attached to go into Korea, where I was working all the time, and because I was working in the kitchen constantly, we didn't have as much time to for physical fitness, for PT. So it kind of it just put a lot of bad habits into me, and it's been a long time. Like this past year alone, I've lost 25 pounds. Like I started off this year at 225, and I'm at 194. No, 220, and I'm at 194 now, and I'm still trying to lose the weight, and it's not easy.
Yeah, daily habits, activities, especially in the heat in Vegas, you find that it's really a lot harder to stay active, and your consumption of water increases. So yeah, you need more rest. Like you exert yourself, and then you need rest, and you exert yourself, and you need rest, just because it takes a lot out of you.
This guy says cutting out chips is too hard for me. I don't know why. McDonald's fries are addicting. Is it just me? McDonald's fries are good when they're fresh. The moment that they cool down a bit too much, they're fucking disgusting. I'm not much of a French fry guy.
Yeah, but the more we care about what we put in our bodies, obviously the better results we have, I guess, is the idea. And the internet's awesome for this shit, man. Just looking up different ways to learn how to cook things or prepare things or different foods. Like, what are you dealing with? You heard of this, but what is it? And being, not afraid, trying different things, trying different nuts, or they've racked up the prices on nuts so damn much, it's ridiculous. Obviously, there's some you know, they have extreme nutritional value.
Yeah, great source of protein.
Yeah, you know, whether protein's a real thing or not, they work. You know, you eat some nuts, you fill up pretty quick, and you feel like you have good energy. You know, it doesn't take a lot of food to satisfy your body's needs, I guess is the idea. Most people aren't aware of, like, you know, fasting and not eating as much in general. Like, our bodies, for the most part, don't need a lot of food. This whole 3 meals a day thing is total propaganda. You know, it's ridiculous. Everybody works differently, and caring about what you eat and maybe having it, you know, one good meal a day and then snacks the rest of the time is probably a pretty good way to go. But everybody's different, you know, and just recognizing what's your balance, what fits you best.
Like, let's see, recently, because I do try to cook a lot at home. There's this one meal that I like to make. It's called chili beans and rice. I've been having it ever since I was a kid. So basically, it's just white rice with chili beans and some ground beef. Season that bad boy up. Good to go. So recently what I did was I made it just like I normally did. I just removed the meat. I mean, I'm a big meat guy. I love meat. But I noticed that just by removing the meat, it doesn't take away from the taste. Like, it literally tastes identical as it always has. You know.
Yeah, throw some mushrooms and green beans in there, you know.
Yeah, and it made me, like, wonder. It's like, I'm not saying I'm going to become like a hardcore vegetarian or anything, but like it's like, you know, my girlfriend, you know, she will occasionally eat meat, but for the most part she's just strictly everything vegetarian for the most part. And, you know, trying to, you know, make food for us that I would like, but is something that fits in with her dietary practices, it's kind of been challenging. So I've been trying to experiment where I can. Here and there, so find the correct spots to compromise, you know. And, you know, she don't like chili. She don't like beans, chili beans. So she's not too crazy about that. But
yeah, exploring different food is the idea. You know, you don't know. Like, people mostly don't like fish, but how many different types of fish have they tried? You know, not all fish taste like fish. It's amazing, but a lot of things don't taste like what you imagine it would.
Which is very true. There was actually a time where I saw some frozen fish on sale, and I love fish. I like, you know, like a good salmon and whatnot. So because this frozen fish was on sale, and I was trying to, trying to eat a little bit healthier at the time, I'm like, I'll just buy a shitload of fish, right? Stupidest thing I could have ever done. That was bad. Because I'm a big fan of fish, but when you're eating fish every fucking day, man, oh my god.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. I was just thinking about, you know, what I do, and basically find a local butcher or farm, you know, and recognize that what you get there, they care about more than what you get at the local grocery store, and it's a higher quality. So you're going to have a different flavor when it comes to eggs and all different kinds of stuff. If it's literally a local farm or somebody that does this specifically, you know, like they only deal in produce, they're going to care about their produce a lot more than some of these big block chains that just want to make the bottom dollar, and you're not going to have the same flavor. So yeah, it's worth the extra few bucks to get the higher quality and not as much, you know. It's definitely more satisfying, just, you know, all around for senses and energy in general.
Oh, definitely. I know out in Vegas there's a farmer's market. I haven't gone to it yet. One of the things that I've been meaning to do, I talked about this before on the live stream a few days ago, actually. Hiking. I've been wanting to go hiking, but it's one of those things where it's like I can go whenever I want. I just literally it's kind of up to me to really kind of make that jump.
The temperature's changing out there. In the fall here is the best time to do that stuff. Red Rock Canyon, you been up there yet?
I've been by it. I haven't actually taken the trip out there. which
That's where the kids would like it too.
Speaking of kids, I gotta find something to do with this kid because it's the terrible twos, and he's on a whole nother level recently. He's gotten me and fake wife all kind of stressed out just with his behavior because it's normal. That 2-year-old mark, I dealt with the same thing with Michael when he was that age. So like we love taking him to the park because he loves being there, but he's gotten to the point where he wants to do what he wants to do, and if you can't do it, he throws a fit. And so he wants to run out into the street, or he wants to, instead of playing on the grass or whatever, he wants to run into the gravel for whatever reason. And being a parent, you got to be like, you can't do that because we don't want you getting hurt or anything like that. And to him, he doesn't understand that. So
yeah, defining boundaries. I remember there was this family that I go to that sort of live on a shared property with a bunch of families. There's like 4 families there, and they all have kids and such. And they were talking at Christmas how they didn't put anything on the electrical outlet covers, and their kid kept going up to him and putting his finger in them, and they told him no, and then he did it again. And sometimes the best way for them to learn is just to figure it out themselves. Like they put their hand on something that's hot, they'll get burned, and they won't do it again. So just understanding that they got to figure it out for themselves. Try not to put it on you to control every moment, because that's part of it. If they're going to get into trouble, that's how they're going to learn. That's part of life.
Well, yeah, I can't be like, all right, go ahead, play in traffic, Tristan. I can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Drawing the line is, for sure a big part of it, but recognizing the little things too. Just when he asks you all these questions or he's getting, all aggro, just let him figure it out. You don't need me. You figure it out. Just big picture ideas as far as not letting it affect you, stressing out and that kind of thing. Because there is some element to believing in that being's future. Just understand that everything will work out. It's all good.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna call it. I gotta get up fucking early as shit tomorrow. Got another. I it's weird with work. A lot of my clients, they've been telling me like, I don't know why, but it says that you're not going to be here until like 5 hours after we requested you to be here. And this app has so many fucking. It's got a lot. There's a lot of every time they put out a new update, there's a new fucking bug. So, but yeah, I gotta be.
But you're getting a lot of business through it.
Yes and no. Last month was good and steady. It's been a little bit slower in this month, which is honestly probably normal. The end of the year is going to be when it's really busy. So, the closer it gets to Christmas time. The big one that I would love to do is hang Christmas lights. When we get towards that part of the year. I'm on track right now with my projections, but I'm not going to know until the end of the month. I'm planning on making a trip up to Seattle because my son's living up there with my mom right now. So, because he's getting away from California, taking a break, going to school up there. So I want to obviously go. Yeah, I want to go up and spend time with him and stuff. And the cool thing is I can transfer up there for work, so I can continue to work. So right now I'm on track. I mentioned earlier the podcast, or not podcast, in the stream. I've gotten to a point in my life where I wouldn't consider myself middle class, but I'm actually getting there, and it's a really good feeling. It's like the first time in years where I've had more money at the end of the month than month at the end of the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Recognizing that your debt level is now being superseded by a savings level.
Exactly. So I just gonna see by the end of this month, and if I'm still plus and I'm still all good, I do need to hit a certain dollar amount, because for a trip that long, there are some things I need to fix on the truck. But provided everything's good, then I'll know by the end of the month if I'm going to be able to even go up there. So then by the end of October...
It'll probably be cheaper to fly.
Yeah, that'll be fun. It's going to be interesting because I have no idea what the TaskRabbit, what the market is like up there. So that's going to be its own learning experience.
How long are you thinking about staying?
About a month, but it really depends. Well, there's two factors. One, it depends on how lucrative work is. If I go up there if I'm equally as busy up there as I am down here, then I'll be good. On my end, I like to download the client app so I can see. That's how I gauge my competition. Like all of my prices, I adjust them according to what other taskers do. That way, I don't undersell myself, but I don't overextend how much I make per hour. That way I get the right clientele looking for me. So I gauge my pricing based on the market. And I've noticed that from TaskRabbit, it's really weird in Seattle. The lowest I've seen someone make for a job is $21 an hour, which I think it was only one person. The highest I saw someone make was $140 fucking dollars an hour, which is fucking ridiculous. Realistically, he's probably only taken home like $85, because the more money that you make per hour, the more money that TaskRabbit takes from you. So like I noticed that when I had my when I first started, my prices were set at like $21 an hour. TaskRabbit would only take like $1.50, so I would make like $19.50 an hour. But then when I jumped up to $25 an hour, the clients pay $30. So TaskRabbit takes $5 every hour that I work, and it's just weird how their percentages work.
So you're gonna get to hang out with Chief too.
Yeah, I haven't really told him about it yet because I don't want to like get his hopes up for nothing. But yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice to hang out with Chief. I think it'd be dope if we could have a stream together one night. That would be really, really fun. Probably. What else? Yeah, there's a couple people up in Seattle that I'd like to hang out with when I'm there. But yeah, I might extend my trip based upon how lucrative work is, because I think the average that I would make would be $5 an hour more than I make here. That's kind of adjusted for cost of living and all that. But so that would, so if I could be on roughly the same schedule here, that means that while working up there, I could save up more money, and that would incentivize me to stay up there longer. But at the end of the day, it would really come down to how long can I stand to be around my mother. I love my mom to death, but a lot of times we don't get along. And when it comes to my son, it's like, it's one of those things where it's a conversation. I was like, look, we can't have conversations about Michael, because every time we do, it ends up with us in a fight. So,
yeah, and there's the whole dynamic of your son being there too, and what his expectations of you are. If you stay that long, he's going to get really attached and not want to leave your side. There's no doubt about that. So understanding that dynamic and what the plan is, like having a plan and setting it out from the get-go or whatever, defining expectations, that kind of thing.
I mean, honestly, like my lease is not up until March, right? Here. So if I stay on track with the way that I am now, I could easily save up enough money so we could leave here. We could leave Vegas. We can go somewhere else. Because we always told ourselves 2-3 years tops. Like, we want to be in Vegas, be close to family and all that jazz. But it would be nice not to stay here forever. I wouldn't mind living up in Washington. Fake wife. That's the one state out of the entire 50 states in our wonderful country. For whatever reason, Washington is the one state she refuses to move to, and I don't know why. She hasn't explained why. She loves the rain. That's one of the things she mentioned. Like, oh, it's so rainy, I hate the weather, and it's like every time it rains, you like love it. It's like your favorite weather. You don't like thunderstorms, but you like the rain. So I don't know. But you know, we'll kind of see where things go. So if I can stand, if me and my mom if things are good between us, you know, I might stay until after New Year's. You know, mainly because of money. So because if I could, the more money I could make, the more money I can set aside. You know.
Oh, you know, you can't stay away from your girl that long.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Because everything I do for the family, so she'll be fine. I'll probably be able to. No, actually, that's another thing.
You can't stay away from your baby that long. How's it?
Well, that's the thing too. Yes and no on that, because of course I'm gonna miss him. But I was in the Army deployed when Michael was a lot younger. You know, like I went years with like only seeing him once or twice a year for 2 weeks at a time. So. I get
it. As far as decisions go, you know, I mean, you got a lot of them to make as far as what's best for you and your family going forward. It sounds like Vegas it doesn't feel like home for you, and you guys sort of made that decision. So that's sort of square one. But next year things are going well.
California's always been home, but we've both kind of agreed that it's like, if hypothetically, let's say I wrote this book and it was wildly successful, right? And I had a bunch of fucking money, I wouldn't mind buying a house and living in California, because I love California. It is home. It's where our roots are. But being realistic, if I'm doing what I'm doing now, California's not viable for me. You know.
So, well, who knows? Depends on where you're talking about. You know,
yeah.
That's always part of the equation. But yeah, you know, Washington is a step. Well, I don't know, man. You can make some good money in Vegas, and it sounds like you're getting some traction in what you're doing, which is always good too. You know, just having a steady source. You know, you're meeting a lot of people, making a lot of contacts. I don't know how many referred businesses, you know, like people that have come back to you and wanted you to do more after you've worked with them. But the referral is good. But it's good to hear you turn the corner and opportunities and moving forward. And who knows where the next Mace Valor adventure is going to take you.
Well, fingers crossed, and we'll know at the end of the month, right? All right.
Yeah, a couple of weeks, huh?
You take care, and I'll be catching you soon, okay?
Peace.
Later.
Good catching up with you.
Oh, fuck, yes, it was good catching up with them. God, it's been a while. Yeah, I know I haven't streamed a whole lot lately. Been busy with work, been busy with family, been writing this book. Forgot to mention, I got hired for some consulting work, so I've been doing that too, but NDAs and whatnot, so I can't talk much about it. But as always, this is your so beloved and glorious Mace Valor, signing off.